Hello and welcome back to Business Life 360. I'm Kristi K. From the nationally known America's Test Kitchen chefs to a top greenhouse grower to the innovation of urban farming in our inner cities, on this episode we'll meet incredible food industry influencers, disruptors, and innovators. And now we'll head out on location with two of my favorite nationally renowned and adored chefs. You know them and love them, from America's Test Kitchen, Collin Davison and Bridget Lancaster. Greetings, I'm Kristi K on location. I'm talking with America's Test Kitchen chefs today, Collin Davison and Bridget Lancaster. Great to be here with them, and what a treat. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having us.
So you help cooks become much more confident in the kitchen. I have to know more about how many years the two of you together collectively have been cooking in this business of cooking.
Oh boy, well together we've known each other for
decades.
Working up to 30 years now.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, getting close.
Yeah, we are getting
We have to do
close.
somewhere special for our anniversary.
And we're 40 years old.
Right.
So where did you meet?
Actually at work, yeah. I was a test cook. Joey came in just a couple months behind me, and this was back in 1998, 99 is when we started. So we've been there for a while, and we climbed the ladder together.
Yeah, it was a very small company at the beginning. And so Bridget and I did the shopping, we washed the dishes, we helped the other test cooks and editors prep their food, but not necessarily cook the food. We were pretty much, the lowest person on the masthead. And then as it was just a magazine that came out bi-monthly. And then there was a TV show. And then there was a second magazine and a second TV show. And in the middle of all that, a cookbook division came about. And so, the staff just got bigger, the projects got more interesting and more varied. And we were there from the beginning and kind of knew all of the jobs because we had done them all. And so we just kind of, moved up to the top as people came in.
I love this. Do you ever just sort of sit back and go, look at me now?
A little bit.
I do say, what is my life?
Yes.
Quite a bit, because it is still surreal.
Yeah.
And you realize how hard you've worked to get where you are as well. You really have. And the brand of America's Test Kitchen is incredible, as you pointed out, with the apps, all of the different things. When you have done each of those jobs, each of you, do you have a favorite kind of step along the way, or one of those areas that you just mentioned that you say, you know what, this is one of my favorites, or this was the best building block of all?
My favorite step of the process, and the process is really similar, no matter if you're working on a TV show, a cookbook, or a magazine, there's that step when you have a blank page, and you're saying, okay, what's this episode going to be? What's this issue going to be? What's this cookbook going to be? And you have a general idea, but you start to put the framework in. And that's when I do research. I see what's out there, try to get my finger on the pulse of what people are interested in and what's current, and then do research and figure out where it's been, this topic, what is the history, and then come up with an outline. And that is my all-time favorite part. I really like doing the background, seeing a bigger picture, and then figure out which slice of it is right for this project.
You are both in charge of the editorial, kind of the editorial direction of the show. How do you decide and determine the prioritization on your topics, on your recipes, on the foods? What is it that kind of drives those decisions?
Yeah, a lot of it is how the business is set up. The magazines don't have any advertisements. So how we keep track of making sure we're putting out recipes that readers really want, we survey readers all the time. What are you interested in? What's on your radar? What do you want to know about? What are your issues in the kitchen? What are your problems? What can we help you solve? And so we learn from our readers, first and foremost, what do you want to know? And then when we develop a recipe, it's a long process. We make each recipe 30 to 50 times, changing one variable. And then at the end, before we publish a recipe, much less put it on television, we send it out to cooks across America. We think we have 60 or 70,000 cooks who will make the recipe for us on their own time, on their own dime, and fill out a survey about how the recipe worked. Did the instructions make sense? Could they have used a photo to help them along the way? And the most important question on the survey is, would you make that recipe again? every recipe needs to get an 80%, yes, I would make this recipe again. If it doesn't, it goes back into the test kitchen to figure out the problem.
Was there ever a recipe where you're just like, we cannot make this work in the test kitchen? Like it's come back, you've gotten the feedback, and you're like, nope, it's out.
We're pretty good, but there's been only a handful, I think, in all these years.
Yeah. Some of the harder ones deal with seasonal fruit and the only reason is they're very juicy, and the juice amounts on apples alone. So we have a tarte tatin recipe. It works really well in the fall, but if you try to make it in the spring or summer when the apples aren't as juicy, it's very dry, and vice versa. So we've had to go back and tweak that recipe to make sure to iron out the juice amount. That
also limits sometimes what we shoot, because peaches, for years we weren't able to shoot anything with peaches because of our shooting schedule. It'll be February, March, and peaches are going to be like a rock at that, right?
But like most things, I think the hardest recipes are the simple ones, because there's no bells and whistles, there's no garnishes and fancy sauces to cover up anything.
Now, another topic that comes to my mind that is kind of near and dear to my heart, because it affects millions of Americans, and I have some loved ones who are dealing with this, is food allergies and severe food allergies. How does that impact what you do in the kitchen? And have you really seen a shift to those who have food allergies and how you make your recipes, or sort of come up with alternative recipes, perhaps?
Yeah, I think that there's been a natural progression towards that, and as we've been able to build on the recipes that we already have, variations will come up kind of naturally. So we'll have gluten-free things. We'll have vegan. So if you're allergic to, or you have a dairy, an issue with dairy or eggs, you might want to go with one of our vegan. And people are great, because as Julia said, we talk to our readers and we talk to our viewers, and they let us know.
As our cookbooks take a look at that and then use the America's Test Kitchen process for developing a recipe. But one of the overarching ideas is it has to be gluten-free. It has to be gluten-free with a dairy-free option. It has to be keto. It has to be paleo. It has to be low sugar or no sugar. And so the cookbooks is where we can really take recipes that we have in the archives and make them in this style that take that into account.
Now, when you are on Business Life 360, we do something called Quick Hits, our rapid fire questions, where our viewers get to know a little bit more about you in a very casual kind of conversation.
Is there a trap door here somewhere?
Yes, exactly. No trap doors, you're stuck here. Are we ready?
I think so.
Okay, what is, and you can take, whoever wants to go first, what is your go-to healthy snack?
Almonds.
Cheese.
Go-to unhealthy late night snack?
Pringles.
Cheese.
But last time you got takeout.
2 nights ago.
2 nights ago.
Yeah. Can we say
together.
What kind of food?
Korean fried chicken wings. Yeah.
Oh, we had Middle Eastern takeout.
Oh, very nice. Okay, salty or sweet?
Salty.
100% salty.
Oh.
Especially if it's cheese.
Maybe a little trend here. I'm hearing something here.
Maybe a passion.
Okay, which one of you is most likely to start work at the crack of dawn?
Me. Yeah.
Night owl?
Me.
I
don't sleep.
No sleep.
I haven't slept in 23 years.
Oh, gosh. One trait that is absolutely necessary to succeed in your business.
Knowing when to put your head down and just work. Ignore the noise. Just put your head down to your job.
Yeah, that's good. Curiosity, I would say, is the other one. Yeah.
Where do you go for peace and quiet when you are not working?
I go for a drive, which in the Boston area isn't always peaceful or quiet.
Really?
But up in the North Shore where I live, I can go for a nice drive and go to one of the beaches up there. Yeah.
What about you?
Outside, I garden.
Very, very nice. That's great. One tip for novice cooks who are watching and may be interested in getting a little more serious about starting to cook.
Buy an instant read thermometer. And you can download a chart of knowing when things are done. And once you temp your meat, temp your chicken, nothing will be dry, nothing will be overdone, nothing will be underdone, you won't be eating anything raw, and your food will go from 0 to 60 overnight.
Love that. Yeah, I'd say 2 things. Read the recipe a few times. Make sure that you have everything before you get started. And the other thing, don't tell people what you're cooking until you're done cooking it. And you can name it anything you want, even if you've messed up.
For example, if you burn it, it's
blackened.
If it doesn't have salt, it's
Tuscan.
Yes. Exactly.
And if it's ugly, it's
if it's what?
if it's like you've messed up and it doesn't look great, it's
Take out.
Thanks for joining us on Business Life 360. What a blast to have you here, and what an honor.
Thank you for having
you.
us.
Thank you.